when you talk about the values, and when I came, I was on the other side in offices, and I walked through the corridor, and I still remember those images. You talked about the heritage early in this interview, and I got goosebumps because I was looking, and then from the history, 1930s, you know, the suits, the prime ministers, the esteem, the elegance, and so I was looking through, and I said, this is what it's all about. Right. So were you the one who had the idea to put those images?
Yeah,
like you said, it wasn't there before, right?
No, it wasn't. So interestingly, my office used to be in that corridor, and that was the point of entry. So you went into that corridor. So that corridor, if you can imagine this long, 40-meter corridor, and it literally was just painted white. It had like grey, torn carpet. It had wooden lockers, fluorescent lights, and not a picture anywhere. I remember there was a sign, like no smoking or something, was sort of hanging off one thing on the wall. And so that was your first visual impression of Scots. You came through the gate, you walked in there, and then you turned right into my office, and it had like a bathroom. So you kind of went down this narrow corridor with a bathroom there, and then it had this timber, like an old train station, like a timber window thing, and my school secretary sat behind there and, wound the window up, talked to you. And I just walked in there and said, how do I sell this as a innovative, future-focused school? Like it just looks like a relic. And as I walked around the school, there weren't any pictures that celebrated the life of the school. And so my wife and I sort of went to the archivist at the time and said, can you just collect all the images that we've got through the history of the school? Just get all those images and show us what they are. And we went through them, and then we selected ones that reflected all the different dimensions of the school, like, drama and music and, famous people and sports and different things. Then we went to a company and asked them to retake them and blow them up, and then we put them in old frames. So the frames all look like they've been there 100 years. So and they're mismatched. So the idea is it's always looked like this. That was the feeling. So what happened with that corridor? I got a builder who's an old boy here, and I said to him, we're going to be out of here in December. I said, can you strip this out and do this whole design for me, so when everyone comes back in February, they're going to walk in that door and go, oh my goodness, what a change. Because that was going to be a statement about the future of Scots. That was going to be my quality stamp, what I valued, and that was going to be the first place we started. So that's what we did. And the kids came back and it was like, oh my goodness.
At ETS Rubasha Media, we help you become an industry leader. How? Well, we manage your podcast. A podcast is one of the most powerful ways for you to get your voice out there authentically, so you can teach and be an expert in your industry. And so once you have a podcast, once you're able to document like we're doing here and be able to put that into the marketplace, it positions you as a leader. Now, what we do with that is now we position our CEOs to be speakers, right? So you could just be doing what you love, working on your business and speaking on workshops, having speaking engagements, hosting workshops. So we have an availability once you become a client here at ETS Rubasha Media, whether we're managing your podcast and your personal brand, to be on the list of one of our speakers. So now you can get booked for speaking engagements. If you want to apply for that, if you want to apply for this select few clients who we can be represented out in the world, so we can market you speaking to so many people, being that industry leader, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. It's the only way you're going to be an authority. People want to see you in front of other people. In their mind, they see you as someone who is important, someone who is valuable. When you become highly valuable, you become highly remembered, and you become highly paid. So you can become here represented at us, so we can be marketing you out there in the world, just like we do for our clients. You do have that opportunity. So if you want to get in touch for that opportunity to have your podcast managed and be put up for a speaker, connect with us below. Thanks.
Completely different. And then gradually we've just taken that model and wrapped it all around the school. So when you go around, there's like, the school is just what we call a living history. It's like a story. And the reason that's important is I want the boys who are here today to realize that one day their picture's going to be on that wall. and they are making history as they walk around the school, and just like those boys did 40 years ago, 100 years ago. And some of the other things that are fascinating is if you look at those pictures, like the first captain of our rugby team here was Chinese. Like, how cool is that? Like 120 years, 130 years ago, Scots was a school that sort of welcomed Chinese families at a time when Australia was not particularly kind, to Chinese immigrants and Chinese people who'd been here for a long time. So, there are things like that are symbolic, that I put them there for a reason. The other thing we've done them in black and white and sepia. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the photos as well, there are some modern teams there. Mm-hmm. So there are some, teams that might have won a premiership or something like that in 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but they're done. They look like they've been there a long time. The idea is we're going to keep adding to this story as we go, and I've just got to keep building new buildings. The other one I've done, so I've got more space for more pictures. But pictures tell, a picture tells 1,000 words or 1,000 stories. And I love the other thing I love about boys. I think boys are very visual. I think we're visual learners, and I think we like looking at things and pondering. I think boys, I don't think we give credit to the reflective nature of boys, how deeply they think about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And, so part of the reason of creating a beautiful school and beautiful gardens and pictures and buildings that have interesting features is you want boys, to sit down occasionally and just look at something and go, I wonder who put that there. I wonder why that's there. And I wonder what that person, because that's curiosity, right? And curiosity is the foundation of learning. If you're not curious, if you're not looking to think about why something happens and why they did it that way, then you'll never have the drive to go on and learn things. So I've tried to be pretty focused and pretty deliberate on shaping the physical environment.
Yeah, like when I came in today, it was like I saw a new place. Like, wow, like I went to school here, and I think that's what I love, that innovation to always, it shouldn't look the same as it was when I was here.
No, it should change.
It should change, the same as in the business, the way you use systems, the way you do things should change. But to be honest, that gave me goosebumps to see all those images and to, I'm looking here, what we're trying to create, that legacy, doing this, that is the history. And even I think it's motivation for the boys to be like, when they look at those images, how can I stand out in what I'm doing? Right? If I'm an athlete, or if I'm in drama and education, whatever it is, how can I stand out so much that I wasn't just a boy who went to Scots College, but I was this person who went to Scots, to really have that name for yourself. I think it's quite powerful.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're going to love that one.